Explained, Nigel. Thanks a lot for that. Now let's move on then. Our experts today are Naveen Sehadeo, research analyst at Edelweiss, and Jitin Parmar, co-founder of Aurum Capital, one of the best-known investors in cyclical investing. Gentlemen, thanks a lot for joining us on the show. Jitin, let me ask you the first question. Cement is a cyclical play, right? So at the end of the day, can there be a permanent place in the portfolio for cement stocks, or should one consider moving in and out depending on the cycles, and how to identify these cycles?
So, I mean, if you can get something like a Shree Cement, I would say it can be a very long-term play, but that is more of an exception rather than the rule. So, I would say that, it is best to, have them as positional plays and play the cycle for a few years. That could be a period of 2-3 years or maximum 4 years, and then you have to book out, is what my philosophy is.
Okay, that's interesting. Now, Jitin, if only everybody could find one Shree Cement for themselves, for their portfolios, right? If only if it was that simple. Naveen, thank you for joining us as well. Now, your thoughts on this this topic as well. And also that brings us to the question whether what we're witnessing today, what Nigel explained, whether this is the beginning of an up move that will really sustain at least for 2-3 years. What do you think?
So first of all, when we talk about cement as a cyclical play, it's always about capacity utilization, and demand is just one of the factors which goes into it. Going where we are now, I think, of course, the demand has surprised, particularly in the month of September. The October month looks, again, extremely convincing. So I think demand certainly is, the way it has bounced back is definitely encouraging. And from the March quarter onwards, you have the base effect kicking in. So I think from here on, I'm very confident in saying that growth indeed is back for the cement sector, because we just have to look at just one quarter, December, and thereafter the base effect itself kicks in, which gives you a YY growth on sheer normalization. So demand, I think, is definitely looking good for at least about next 4 to 5 quarters.
Okay, yes, that's an interesting point. Yes, and Jitin, if only everyone could identify the next Shree Cement, right? Life would be so much simpler. But, you tell us from your experience over the last many years, what factors do you consider while evaluating a cement company and whether to invest in that or not?
So, the main criteria to look at is, basically EBITDA per ton. Of course, capacity utilization is another very important criteria, but EBITDA per ton, and then you look at the valuations, for evaluating for investment or for exits, you look at, what enterprise value to EBITDA it trades at. Another way to look at is EV per ton from a replacement cost perspective. So these are the key factors to look at, and the large caps enjoy a much higher valuation if you look at the EV per EBITDA basis, and the mid caps they are at a 80% discount to the large caps right now. So from a portfolio perspective, I think in an upcycle, the mid cap and select small cap stocks will definitely outperform, is my view.
Okay, that's interesting. So, Jitin, you were saying that perhaps mid-caps are what one needs to look at in cement. We'll actually come back to that point. I want to talk to you more about parentage and a lot of the international giants that are present in India, but more on that in just a bit. Naveen, since we're on the subject of factors to keep in mind while you're selecting a company and a stock, let me ask you, what is it that you look at and what ratios? Because these terms are very different from other sectors. EV per ton, EBITDA per ton, these are not parameters that we look at for a lot of other companies from other sectors.
Yeah, definitely. So as Nitin mentioned, that EBITDA per ton is one of the factors to look at. But I would still believe EBITDA margin is a better representation, because the same EBITDA per ton, which fetched a 30% margin at the last upcycle around 2010, that same EBITDA per ton of 1,000 rupees fetches just around 18-19% today. So I'm saying EBITDA per ton in that sense can be a bit of a misnomer. The other factors which you should look at is certainly growth. I mean, I know we're talking all putting cement as a cyclical sector to be with and trying to time it, but very frankly, very honestly, it's very difficult to time it, and everybody is wise only in hindsight. So the best is to look at growth stocks, because demand and pricing is something which is not in your control. So what you should look for is volume visibility, and most importantly the company's balance sheet from a net debt to EBITDA perspective. If that net debt to EBITDA ratio is under 3 times, then in that case the company is well positioned to take care of growth. And if I can just put in one, we all talk about Shree as something very most coveted sort of a cement company. Do you know the USP of it? The USP has been, he has been doing steady expansions at regular intervals without swelling the balance sheets or without taking adequate debt. So basically you look at any company which has free cash flows which can support the capex growth is the ideal stock to be looked at.
Okay, got that. Important points over there. Jitin, now allow me to come back to the point that you just raised. You just told us that you perhaps see more value and perhaps more money-making opportunities in mid-cap cement companies right now. Why is that? Because you also told us that scale is very important. Large capacities are very important in this sector. So tell us a little more about why the preference for mid-caps right now.
Yeah, so some of these mid caps will turn into large caps, and that's what we are seeing in few names. That something like a Dalmia Bharat, you see that they are scaling up significantly, and that's where I see the difference in the valuations and all that. Once they have economies of scale, once they are catering to more regions, the regional cyclicality comes down, and that's when you get a higher valuations. And for others it is just a play on the sector where something like a small cement company could be at ridiculously low valuations, and it would be just reversal to mean. So something that of that sort also works out. For a portfolio construction, I generally create a basket of stocks where I would put in some large caps, some mid caps, and maybe 1 or 2 small caps. That's how I would generally play the sector.
Okay, God, I'm so tempted to ask you for more names, but Jitin told us that no, he cannot get into stock-specific conversation beyond a point. But we got the general gist, Jitin. Thanks for that. We do need to take a very quick break on that note, but keep it with us. Lots more interesting points to discuss when one is considering how to invest in the cement sector.
Welcome back. We are watching CNBC TV 18 Investment Guide, and today we are discussing cement sector. Our guests are still with us. Naveen, in terms of valuations, how do they look compared to the historical averages?
So historical average, very frankly, is a wide range, as in anywhere between 6 to 18 times EV per EBITDA, EV by EBITDA has been the range. But if you look at the most recent range, let's say typically from FY14 onwards, which was we can call it a period of high growth expectations. In that phase also, let's say a like of Ultratech traded anywhere between 12 times to even 18 times. Versus that, currently the stocks are trading at the lower end of this band. So Ultratech is possibly trading at about 11 times 1 year forward EBITDA. So as compared to the most recent history of, let's say, last 5 years, we are definitely at the lower end of the valuation band.
Okay, got that. So perhaps we're not at anywhere close to peak valuations. That could be a comfort factor for investors looking at these stocks. Jitin, another point on the fact that this is a regional play and you have to figure out the regions. And I always wonder that as an investor, if I pick a north-based company, 6 months, 8 months down the line, supply-demand dynamics are very different and west is doing better or south is doing better. So do I have to keep churning my portfolio? And how do you deal with regional demand and price volatility?
Yeah, I mean that's a challenge which we have to face as analysts in the sector, and one way to eliminate that is you go for a national player. But if you really want to dig deep and maximize your returns, and you have to take advantages of this regional inefficiencies, so as to say. For example, currently the southern region, especially the AP Telangana, is enjoying superb growth and great uptick in the EBITDA margins, and that you will see in the results. One of the results has already come, and the other results to follow. I am expecting super numbers. I mean, the company which has reported recently, in the 6 months it has given higher EBITDA than the whole of last year, which itself was their highest EBITDA. So these kind of numbers you can see in the southern region, especially the AP, Telangana. So if you can figure those out, and I think you can really outperform a lot. That's the key. You have to basically get out also very quickly whenever these things happen, and you are able to take benefit of this.
Okay, yeah, fair point. Now, Jiten, some of these listed companies, of course, also have a strong global, parentage. There's Holcim, of course. We've had Heidelberg. There are a lot of global companies which are the parents. Is it incremental positive, or does it not matter at all?
I mean, global parentage helps because of access to capital and all that. But what we have seen is that the Indian companies have actually moved ahead, and for example, Ataltech is double the size of the ACC Ambuja combined, and you see the other Indian players also moving ahead with much higher capacity additions and all that. So I would say, I think the Indian companies have done very well in this sector.
Okay, got that. Well, we know that Jiten is not going to give us very specific stock recommendations. So let me ask you, Naveen, you tell us which are your top buys. I think JK Cement is one of them, and the reason for the same as well.
So JK Cement is of course, in the mid-cap space, that has been a top pick. And despite being a mid-cap, this has been the company, the stock has seen a dream run already, and I think it still continues to remain a very beautiful story. And typical factors, you look at it from a structural perspective, this stock has been a 10%, has been adding capacity at 10% CAGR. And I believe that over the next 10 years also, there is enough limestone reserve and improving balance sheet strength, which gives it like a decent 10% CAGR capacity growth story. That's just one of the points. Second is, this company is structurally improving its regional mix. So if South as a region is troubled and because of overcapacity, and there it had 30% of its capacity, with incremental capacities coming in good regions like North and Center, this mix is turning towards positive regions, and bad regions or troubled regions is reducing. The third factor is efficiency improvement. So if earlier old versus new capacities for JK was about 50-50, as we speak, that is improving to 70-30, and in a year from now, with the upgrades that they are taking, it will become more favorable like 80-20. So efficiency improvement or overall reduction in cost per ton is also happening. And my last point, which I touched upon initially, also about free cash flows. This company earlier was a 10 million ton company. Now it's already a 15 million ton company. And as we speak, it is catapulted itself into an EBITDA zone of 1200 to 1400 crore per annum, at which level it generates 600-700 crore rupees or more of free cash flows, which is enough for this kind of a stock to fund future growth. A re-rating argument. This is what has led to re-rating in the stock, and I believe it still continues to be a very strong point.
Okay, that's interesting. Now we've discussed a lot of things to look at while investing in some of these stocks. Jiten, very quickly, any red flags, anything that you look at and say, okay, I don't want to be investing in that. And there have been many stocks which have underperformed, like India Cement, for example. So any parameter to look at where in terms of you want to avoid a stock?
So anything with very high debt, I think Naveen also mentioned, I look at anything which is having debt to EBITDA ratio of more than 4 is something which I would definitely avoid, because in bad times that can kill you. So look at companies which don't have very high debt. Of course, region is very important to choose. For example, the southern region, the capacity utilization is only 50% or even lesser, and the northern it is upwards of 90%. So accordingly you position yourself and look at region plays a very important role. Of course, there will be some outliers, especially in southern region. For example, Ramco Cements has historically done very well, but that is again an exception rather than the norm. So we talked about India Cements. Again, you see their EBITDA per ton, they will always struggle.
All right, this has been a very interesting conversation and a very helpful one, I think, for a lot of our viewers who are trying to understand the dynamics of this sector better. Thank you very much, Jitin and Naveen, for making time for us and for being on Investment Guide today. So, interesting chat there, Anuj.
Very interesting chat, and this is one topic where you want to read a lot.
Yeah.
You want to really spend a lot of time analyzing balance sheets and analyzing the past data, because if you analyze that well, you can always come up with the next winner.
Absolutely. Regional trends, demand, supply. You've got to do your homework if you want to invest in the sector on your own. Well, on that note, we will have to take your leave on this week's edition of Investment Guide. We'll see you again next week.